From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It's Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, forcing the football, everybody. Game-manger, Heisman winner. Who do you got at quarterback this year if you're a Florida State fan? 11 runs in the opener for the baseball team? Are you serious? And we talk hoops and softball as well. Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. cptallybar.com. That is the website. If you actually want to go hang out in real life, go to 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Delicious food, cold drinks, awesome people await you. How about grabbing lunch over at the CP today with your friends? Get a burger, everybody, for only $8.99. Half-pound all-black Angus beef burger with a side dish of your choice. Usually $12.99, but look at that, $8.99 today from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then tomorrow, come on back and hang out and do some trivia at 7 o'clock. Corey Clark, whereabouts Thursday on Tuesday night? Where, will it be at the CP?
I think I'll be at the Florida State Boston College basketball game, buddy. So I won't be able to be playing trivia.
All right, well. Go anyways, everybody. I mean, just because Corey's not there.
Right. Yeah, I might come by afterwards to celebrate the big win by the Noles.
All right, now we're cooking with gas. I like that. I like the sounds of that. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Hit the thumbs up, 5-star rating review. We'd appreciate that kind of stuff. Subscribe to the website as well. You think it's a slow season? Psh. Met a lot of nice people. Ooh, I should pull up this list. While I was down back in the Bay Area, if you will, Clearwater, Tampa area. Lots of friends of Warchant. This podcast, I met Matt and his son, Austin. I think apparently Austin's sister, Matt's daughter, is like a social media worker intern for the softball team. So Shout out to Matt and Slugger Austin. You just got shouted out on the pod. Tell your dad what's up and be nice to him today. Eric, Randy. Randy said my full name. Can you believe that, Corey? He's like, are you Aslan Hajavandi? Crushed it.
Oh, nice, man.
Crush it, Randy. Okay. You're the man. Yeah. You're the man now, dog. Brenda and her son. And I forget your son's name, Brenda, but he was repping it. Corey, he's wearing a Battle's End T-shirt.
Okay. Oh, good.
And then another Matt who was with a lovely couple named Pat and Steve, who said they love Warchant. That Matt was saying, man, like I just can't keep up with everything you guys are doing on the website, man. It's incredible. I'm like, yeah, Ira at warchant.com. Let him know. And then, maybe he can take a breather every now and then. But yeah, that's what we're doing. We're populating the website with content for you people because we are content people. Busy weekend, exciting weekend, bat and ball stuff. Almost feel like we need to maybe force the football at first though, Corey, because that's what pays the bills, keeps the power on here at the Midtown offices. Or do you want to dive into the bat and ball stuff right now? I'll let you pick.
You go, buddy. You're running the show. You were all over the state, so I think you get to pick how we start.
Well, I was looking at on the website. I just wonder where are you at on this, Corey? I know you're not shy about saying the U is probably never coming back. There was a while there where it was kind of I had the trauma, if you will, of dealing with Urban Meyer intersecting with the lost decade at Florida State and having to wear those losses, and it hurt. So it's kind of, I don't want to say little brother complex ever hit to me, but it was always like, man, they're always going to be lurking. Florida's always going to be around. You can never really truly enjoy the dominance because it's always just one weird flip away from it turning. Man, they're just getting dunked on, as the kids would say, on the internet. This can't be real. They're people are making fake Florida NIL signs. There's one that's like it's a photo. It's a stock image of a reptilian. I don't know if it's a crocodile or an alligator, but it's in its nest. It's got evil eyes. There's eggs underneath its chin, and it says, "Guard the nest. Don't let our rivals steal our players. Contribute to the Gator Defense Fund. Florida victorious." I'm enjoying this, Corey. I really feel this is the start of a prolonged I don't want to call it a dynasty per se for Florida State. We'll see how many titles they can run, but at least getting the throne back in this state. And it feels like we're several laps ahead of the competition. I really think we need to put the screws to everybody. I think take your victory laps if you're FSU Twitter. Really lay it on these people now. Not saying because it won't last long, because I think it's going to last long. But I'm saying no longer be hesitant, no longer be scared in this this seat of success, everybody. Really embrace it. Where are you at, Corey? Are you a gentleman about this sort of stuff, or do you think this is the time to really, give the screws to these people?
Are you talking about Miami? Because you mentioned
Both.
Miami never
Both.
being back. Okay. Yeah. I mean, take advantage of it while you can. As all three fan bases have found out in painful fashion the last decade or two. In Miami's case, the last 2 decades, nothing's guaranteed. You're not always guaranteed to be a great program at the top of the sport. Florida hasn't felt it in 15 years. Miami hasn't felt it since I think Judge Wapner was still on the bench. In People's Court. It's been a long time for those fans. In Florida State, look, they're best program in the country for a 2 or 3 year stretch and then plummeted into the abyss. So, yeah, I think go ahead, talk whatever you got to talk. Be respectful, gang. Actually, no, I'm just kidding. However you interact with them, you don't have to be respectful. But, yeah, take advantage while you can because it's clear right now who the number one program in the state is, and it's not close, I don't think. Now, Miami – look, I think Miami did well in the portal. I think they got some pieces. They obviously have a very good quarterback, or at least a good quarterback. And they will. Yeah, I think their over/under is 9 wins in Vegas, 9.5 maybe.
Really?
So they're a top 15-ish program. The beauty is they play each other to start the year, right? Don't they?
Yeah.
So one of them has to lose to start out. Start the gate, just out of the gate with an L, a bad L, a really hurtful L because of who it came against. So that's good news. The bad news, obviously, is one of them will have a dub. But yeah, I think take advantage while you can because you don't know how long it's going to last. You know what I mean? Like I think Florida State. I get your point. I think Florida State is set up for a nice long stretch here, but things change, man. Like it's hard to take anything. It's hard to. That nothing is dependable. Is Mike Norvell going to be here in 2028? I hope so. Have no idea. Will NIL still be a thing in 2028? Don't know. So there's so many things that Florida State has going for it right now that aren't guaranteed by the end of the decade. So go ahead and enjoy it while you can.
With all due respect to Coach Norvell, you listing those things, I think maybe I would want, unless I don't like the way the landscape is right now, but it's benefiting Florida State more. And I don't want to say benefit. Florida State is using the current landscape, or they're finding the advantageous use of the resources available right now in this sort of landscape. Clearly, you want Coach Norvell to be here too, because he's the guy that's working it, evaluating the right guys, getting them here, getting the right message and consistency. But the NIL part of this, that's the biggest wild card, right, for this thing to keep rolling, because it's not going to last in this incarnation. And when it ends, and then maybe that's the point where these teams can kind of get back in the picture. But if this thing stays the way it is, like that just spells doom for these schools, because if you miss the boat, I don't know how you catch up with the way the rules are right now. Because again, like what they're doing in Gainesville right now just is so futile. You almost want to feel bad for Florida if you didn't realize just how lousy of a fan base they were.
Yeah, I think I would say I disagree a little bit on the fact that I think that now is the time where Miami can strike. I think if the rules go back to any semblance of what they were, where everybody is on, quote unquote, on the same level playing field, and Miami's going to lose all those recruiting battles. They just are. The facilities aren't any good. They're very, very outdated. The fan base isn't great, and that's being polite. The stadium's 30 minutes away or 40, whatever it is. They have all these disadvantages that they can't overcome unless they get a great NIL that's willing to pay more than most or more than all. That can keep them in the game. If everything gets standardized and brought back to reality, I don't see how Miami ever gets back to relevance. I think this is their best shot, is to just overspend, bring in some really good players and take a shot, because otherwise they were treading water going nowhere. They're actually going backwards. They were starting to drown. They weren't even treading water. So, yeah, I think that this is their only chance. Florida, yeah, apparently Florida is way behind right now. It's going to be tough for look, but it all switches. Like, yeah, they're not going to be good this year probably. Napier probably
5.5, Corey. 5.5 is their win total.
So if they get to 6 or 7 wins, I think Napier's done. They're going to have to get to 9 wins, which he'll be the coach of the year if they get to 9 wins. So anything short of that, he's probably getting fired. Well, let's see who they make a run at. And what's really interesting to me, as long as the market is the way it is, and as long as this rule book is the way it is, let's say Billy Napier gets fired. Do you go make a run at Lane Kiffin and offer him $12 million to come be your head coach? Or do you go get another Sunbelt guy, offer him $3.5 million, and spend that extra $8.5 million that you saved on your football team?
Yeah,
I think that's what ADs and collectives are all going to have to be weighing here moving forward. Like, okay, yeah, Lane Kiffin could be great, but if you don't give him any players, it's not going to matter. The players are more important right now. What's great about Florida State is there is a great combination of both. There's a coach that you really trust that has instilled a culture. Guys want to play for him. Guys do play for him, and they play hard. But also they've got a good collective. A collective, I don't know how you weigh which one's more important than the other. I know when you have two good ones, a collective and a good head coach, you go 13-0 after going 5-7 2 years prior. You go on a 19-game winning streak. That's the combination of a good NIL with a good coaching staff. Florida State is very lucky right now to have both. I don't know. Florida doesn't have either. And I don't know about Miami's NIL situation. They must be pretty decent if they got Cam Ward.
Yeah, but I'm not all that frightened, though, by what they've done. Like, Ole Miss, if I was a Mississippi State fan, I'd be like, golly, like, this is not fair. Like, I don't think Miami has done what Ole Miss has done. And the fact that Ole Miss is paying Lane, I think Lane gets, like, between 7 and 8, and they're getting him all these players. Like, Florida's going to have to really roll out the red carpet to get him away from that situation. So, I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to enjoy it because I don't know, like, Jed Fish, like, I'm supposed to lose sleep over Jed Fish. Like, no offense. Like, great job at Arizona. But, like, that's like the ace in the hole. Like, if this thing goes sideways, at least we can make a run after Jed.
Yeah.
I'll lose sleep over that one.
All right, good, man, good.
But, yeah, Florida State and Miami both with 9.5 on the win totals.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, right? I think Clemson is, too.
Yeah, we all are.
I think all three are 9.5. So that's interesting. It's interesting with Miami. Like, they lose 6 games last year? Right?
I think so, yeah. Sounds about right.
One of them was a win. They turned into a loss, but even still, they lost 5 games. And but I guess you could look at that roster and say, okay, what if that roster had Cam Ward? Let's be honest. If that roster had Cam Ward instead of a true freshman making his first start at Doak, Miami might have won that game. Like, that kid, they didn't do anything. They got a fluky.
Quarters. Yeah, they got a fluky touchdowns, and I don't think. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah.
Well, right, but that offense did jack squat for 2.5 quarters. That kid had no business being on the field the second half of that game, and then he threw that lucky, crazy touchdown. Yeah. But other than that, he was not good at all. Well, Cam Ward wouldn't have looked like that. He wouldn't have been overmatched and overwhelmed. And Florida State's offense wasn't great. So, you look at that the way that game went. Let's just say. I think it would have been closer, and maybe Miami wins, maybe they don't. But that's a pretty good roster. That's a pretty good roster. So yeah, I guess I see it. They were close to being good. They didn't have good quarterback play all season. Now theoretically, they will have good quarterback play to go along with some really nice pieces, including, I think that offensive lineman and his linebacker brother are both back, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
they did lose. I think they lost both those safeties, though.
They did. I think they lost Matt Lee, who was their center. I think they lost Cohen, who was one of their
the Alabama kid. Yeah.
So that
was a good offensive line, and I haven't paid attention to what they did in the portal to replace those guys either. So maybe I'm talking out my rear end.
Colby Young too. He was a really talented wide receiver. They lost him. So, again, just. Good times. It's good times right now, everybody. So the fact that it's 9.5, there were some questions stuck at the bottom of the mailbag. Forgot to get to them. So our guy BM FSU was saying, if you had to pick a label for DJ Uiagalelei in 2024, is it game manager or Heisman long shot? It's like that 9.5 number. That feels like that's a very game manager number, at least what the people in the desert are saying. But I don't know, like 11 wins. Maybe that's like a Heisman long shot guy. But then look at everybody who got invited last year.
Yeah.
They were competing for national championships. I don't know. 11 wins still gets you in the playoff. Then you're competing for a title. So,
Game manager is such a weird phrase that we use now. It's weird. If you would watch a lot of, this is going to sound blasphemous, but if you go watch, because they're all on YouTube, like full games or highlights of the '93 season, and watch what Charlie Ward did. To me, that is the absolute definition of a game manager, other than the spinny doos to avoid sacks, which were just unbelievable. He had eyes in the back of his head. He would throw a 7-yard pass, a 9-yard pass, a 6-yard pass, a 5-yard pass. He would just slowly matriculate the ball down the field with 9-yard passes the whole game, the whole season. I think he threw 4 picks all year. Obviously he made some incredible plays and some incredible throws, but by and large, he managed the game really well and took what the defense gave him. That's what the great ones do. Like, they're not all Mahomes just making unbelievable throws, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. So I don't know. I guess you can be really impressive as a game manager, but I don't even know. I guess I think we've kind of lost sight of what that even means. I don't even know how to describe what a game manager is. Like, what was Jordan Travis? Never turned the ball over, made the easy throws, made the quick reads, and I shouldn't say easy throws. Nothing is easy about playing quarterback in college, but saw it quickly and made the right read. Right? Guy's open for 6 yards, I'll throw it to him. Guy's open for 9, I'll throw it to him. Keon's got 1-on-1, I'm going to throw it up to him.
But
That's
he was
managing the game, right?
He was lethally. I don't know if that's right. He was so nearly perfect though in operating this offense that, like, to say he's a game manager, to equate that to game management. Like, I don't think DJ's going to have that kind of luxury of knowing this offense inside and out the way that Jordan did, that he was able to make it look that kind of easy. You know?
That's what I'm saying. So I don't expect him to be that guy. No. You know what I mean? Like, game manager almost has become like a pejorative. Right. It's a bad thing to be called, and I disagree vehemently. A game manager, those guys are awesome. Yeah. It's the game losers that you don't want, the guys that actively hurt you and lose you games because they're not making the right decisions and the right plays. That's what I wonder about. DJ's going to make some wow plays. He just is. He's just physically gifted. But will he be able to take the 9-yard passes, the 7-yard passes? Can he complete 6 throws in a row on a drive to get you into field goal range late in the game, or to get you in the end zone late in the game, or to put a game away? That I don't know. I don't know. I think he, judging from what he did against Oregon State and judging from the way the quarterbacks have looked in this system, I feel like he will have a very good year. And if he doesn't turn the ball over, and I say very good as in, he'll average 230 yards passing a game. And if you don't turn the ball over, they're going to have a good season. It's a big if, though.
He completed 57% of his passes last year. So, that's what I don't want to say worry about, but again, Jordan was just so efficient that everything was always on schedule. Yeah. And when it did get behind schedule, it really didn't matter because they'd throw out a screen pass, or, he would be able to make a play to a Johnny Wilson or a Keon Coleman.
Yeah, or he'd make a great throw down the middle of the field. Like, the dude was exceptional the last 2 years. Just exceptional. In your quarterback play, no matter how good DJ ends up being, it's going to be a tick below from what you've been getting the last 2 years. But that doesn't mean you still can't have a really successful season, because you hope the offensive line is better. The running game is better. The wide receivers on a whole, 1 through 12, instead of just 1 and 2. The whole gang of them is collectively better. But yes, I know we didn't answer that question. So I don't foresee him being a Heisman candidate, but I hope I'm wrong.
There'll be more, I would say, closer to I don't want to say playmaker's a better thing than a game manager, because if you properly manage the game, you win more games than the guy that has to just simply make something out of nothing and make these huge, big kind of chunk plays. I think we'll see more of that. Again, I just think he's got a stronger arm. He's probably more apt to pushing the ball down the field. Seems like they've brought in a level of speed that they're probably really comfortable trying some of that out. So we might see some more wow throws, but individual flashes. Whereas again, Jordan just had performances, drives, games, where you're that's
crazy,
not fair that he gets a play, and but it was awesome. He's your quarterback.
Yeah, and he was in it for 4 years. But what's crazy is anytime somebody is referred to as a game manager, I can promise you one thing: they win.
Yeah. Yep.
They win. It's used as a negative. I think Tom Brady was a game manager for a lot of his career. He was unbelievable at it in that he managed teams to wins. He managed games. He took the chances when he had to. Otherwise, he took the open man and continued drives. He managed. He was great at it. Yeah. So, yes. So, again, game managers, you hope at the end of the year that DJ is called a game manager because that means that Florida State has won a bunch of games. They don't use that for the guys that go 5-7. They are never referred to as game managers.
I mean, just think about the quarterbacks that got invited to the Heisman last year. Like Penix's whole thing was just bombs, just verticality, boom, boom, boom. Guys, phenomenal receivers that could catch anything in their vicinity. Jaden Daniels, who could run it, could spin it.
He was not a game manager.
Right. And then Bo Nix. I mean, Bo Nix is a guy that, he threw for I think over 4,000 yards, right?
But then tell me who won the national championship, baby. Which quarterback did that?
J.J. McCarthy.
Who won
the ball
game,
off.
didn't even throw a pass in the second half, and they beat mighty Penn State. That's a game manager.
Yeah, so go figure. All right, let's some quick hitters from our guy SQuinn67 when it comes to the NFL draft. What player will surprise by how early they go? What player will surprise by dropping and going later? What player will have the biggest impact as a rookie? What player will have the longest career in the league? So first one, who's going to surprise us by going earlier than we anticipate? I feel like everyone's going to kind of go right around where we assume they will, but I don't know.
What about Jordan?
Okay.
For that one.
All right.
What do you anticipate?
Sixth round pick? Yeah.
Right. But would you be stunned if you went late fourth? There's only – I don't know how many quarterbacks are going to be drafted by then, but there's only like 12 or 14 that have been invited to the combine.
Yeah.
And I feel like if I'm running a franchise and I'm picking somebody late in the fourth round, I need a quarterback. I need a backup quarterback. Man, you look at that list of the guys that will be left, Jordan Travis is a pretty good option. So maybe if they know he's not ready, he can't play right away, maybe somebody takes a shot out. I don't even think you call it taking a shot. When you're drafting a backup quarterback, he's not going to be playing that first year. Or you hope he's not. You can get him right health-wise, and he's got the brains and the intellect to be a quarterback, a good quarterback. So, maybe he'll go a little higher than we think. I mean,
this list that they have, I take him ahead of Sam Hartman. I take him ahead of Devin Leary.
Yep.
I take him ahead of Joe Milton.
Yeah.
I take him ahead of Austin Reed from Western Kentucky. Shout out, our guy was from Western Florida and then went to Western Kentucky. I probably take him ahead of Spencer Rattler. I know I take him ahead of Keaton Slovis. So that leaves like J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Penix, Michael Pratt from Tulane, Caleb, Jaden Daniels. Those guys are going to go ahead of him. But the rest of those guys, no.
Yeah, I think he's in play as like the 8th quarterback or 7th quarterback taken.
Okay.
But as long as his medicals are good, and there's hope and knowledge that there's going to be a full recovery, and he's on the way to a full recovery, absolutely, I would think that he'd be a guy that could be taken in the fourth round at some point, maybe early 5th.
Who would drop?
Or maybe he goes undrafted. I don't know, folks. We don't know much about the draft.
We'll see. Maybe we'll get somebody on. We'll get somebody on when we get closer to the draft. After maybe the combine, we'll try to get somebody on.
How about the what's the guy's Matt Miller?
Yeah, your guy Matt Miller. I see your boy
maybe
Matt
he'll
Miller
get
wants
on.
to come on.
I could just say, hey, Michigan by 40, right? And then just hang up.
All right. Player that would drop, that'd be a surprise.
I don't know. And I honestly, I don't want to answer that. You answer it. I don't want to answer that question.
No,
because then I'm having to talk negatively about somebody that I don't really want to, and I have no real basis for my knowledge other than I'm just taking a guess.
It would be the first round guys. Like if Keon or Jared doesn't go first round, that would be the biggest surprise of me dropping. Anybody else, I probably won't be surprised where they go unless like Fisk went 6th or 7th round. Then I'd be shocked.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, Fisk going that late would shock me.
But I don't see any reason why he would.
Correct.
And I don't see any reason Jared's going to drop out of the first round. It's a wide receiver heavy draft. We'll see how everybody grades out at the combine. I know pro days are also a big deal, but man, when you're all side by side and doing all the same stuff, like if Malik Neighbors and that Brian Thomas guy and Roma Dunze, and I think doesn't Oregon have a pretty decent wide receiver? I think that might be out there too. Like if all those guys go nuts, then you start thinking, all right, man, there's only so many guys that are going to get drafted in the first round. If he were to drop out, that would surprise me.
Yeah, I don't know that I'd be stunned if he dropped out of the first round just because there's so many other good wide receivers. But yeah, because I think he's kind of right now, you think he's in the 20s. So if he gets drafted in the 30s or early 40s, he's still set for life if he gets a good money guy, and he'll still play a lot his first year. But yeah, that wouldn't necessarily stun me just because there's so many NFL guys. But you're right. Or sorry, so many good first round type receivers. Yeah, man. But I don't foresee anybody else on the radar that would I don't really have a good sense of where any of them are supposed to be drafted. Where's Renardo Green going, or
Right.
Deloach,
Yeah.
or Fabian? I just don't know. I don't know where any of them are supposed to get drafted. I would be surprised if they weren't, but they might. PFF has 7 Florida State guys in the top 100. But I don't know. What does that mean? Who knows?
It will be interesting to see how Keon tests because he's got that basketball background. So if he jumps,
he's going to jump out of the gym if he's healthy, which we assume he will be after 3 months off.
Yeah, get that 38, 40-inch vertical, run like a 4.49 or something, like a 4.52. Go through those drills and just catch everything in sight. I mean, because he just looks so impressive too. I mean, he just built.
And you know what I'm interested in with Johnny is not the 40 because that's not going to be insanely good, but whatever that shuttle drill thing they do that's supposed to test the quickness.
Oh yeah, like the L cones and all that kind of stuff.
Because man, I'm just telling you, his releases against guys that are a foot shorter than him are insane. He is so quick for that size that I think he'll actually put up a pretty decent score or whatever time in those shuttle drill things. And then when you combine that with his production in college and his size, maybe he's a guy that gets drafted a little higher than we would presume. Right now I would think 3rd round, 4th round. Maybe he goes a little higher than that, but if he does well at the combine.
Biggest impact rookie year. Now, I'm going to almost go versus expectations. I'm going to say Renardo.
Okay.
I think he can mess around and maybe be the 4th, 5th cornerback on a good team. Because again, Verse is going to have all eyes on him, and if he doesn't have 10.5 sacks, he's not going to have a proper impact as a first round pick. So I'll take a safer kind of. I mean, I think Fisk could also be in there as well, but I'll go with Renardo.
All right. I'll go with one of those top 2 guys.
Okay. All right. And then what player from the class will have the longest career in the league? I feel like Keon is kind of the right pick. I don't know, man. Maybe.
You just feel like you don't see a ton. Like Trey, you don't. What about Trey, by the way, as an earlier guy? Again, but I don't know where he's supposed to be drafted. No idea. Where do you draft a running back? 5th? 3rd, who knows? But I think he's a guy that a good team would want because he's such a home run hitter. And I hate to say this, but this is how running backs are viewed. You churn him up and spit him out. And by the time he's 27, you don't care what he does with his life, but you want to use him for those 3. You want to use him for that rookie contract. And I think Trey Benson could be a real home run for a team on a rookie contract where he's not getting paid a ton and he's scoring touchdowns because he's just uniquely talented. But then, again, I have no idea where he'll get drafted. He's certainly not going to have the longest career. I would say, maybe Fisk.
All right.
I just feel like he's built to last.
Yep.
Verse, too, man. Verse is a flipping cyborg. You could certainly see him having a career like some of those guys on the Eagles where it seems like, man, he's still playing? That guy, I can't remember, is Brandon Graham. Right?
Fletcher Cox, yeah, Brandon Graham.
Golly, man,
yeah.
Weren't they? They were in.
Fletcher Cox got
Lorenzo
drafted
Booker's
when I was in
class.
Mississippi.
Yeah, I was going to say they were in the class of Lorenzo Booker. It's been a long time, and they're still playing. I could see Burse being that guy just because he seems like he's built to some crazy stuff.
Yeah. Not a great running back class either. So that portends well for Trey, I would think.
All right, good.
All right, and then our guy Jernal. What happens first? National championship appearance for the football team. Baseball makes it to the championship series in Omaha. or men's hoops Sweet 16?
I think they're all going to happen the same year. So I guess technically that would make it football then, because football is the first sport played. So I'm going to say football.
Well, it depends on the calendar year, right? I mean, if basketball.
Well, I'm talking about like this year, so 2023, 24.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right. How does that work? If I think they're all going to happen next season, then it's football, right?
Correct, yeah.
There you go. So I think they're all going to happen next season, so I say football.
I mean, when you think about it.
Leonard's going to get himself some shooters. He's going to get some guys that can rebound, and they're going to the Sweet 16, baby.
I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, I get it. Florida State's pedigree is football and baseball, so it makes a good, intriguing question, Jaron. I'll shout out. But, mess around and win 19 games and then just, have a hot weekend and you're in the Sweet 16. Baseball's got to go through regionals, which is always a wonky thing. You got to go through supers, and then you got to make it through double elimination in Omaha.
That's the hardest thing. That's by far, I think, the hardest.
Yeah.
It's the luckiest almost, is getting to the championship series in baseball. You have to beat so many good teams when they're all playing their best in June. So, that's the hardest one, I think. And
in football, I'm not even going to say you're in the ACC and it's tough to get into the playoff. I'm not even going to use that excuse or that paradigm or what have you. But, I mean, at this point now, with 12 teams, you're going to have to, win 2 more games? You have to win 2 playoff games to make it to the national title game? Is that right? Is my math right? Or 3?
Well, you get a bye if you're one of the top 4 seeds,
right.
Which Florida State would have been this year if it was a 12-team playoff. Weirdly, though, right? Like, isn't that weird that if it was a 12-team playoff, I think Florida State's the 3 seed, but a 4-team playoff, they're the 5 seed. And I am convinced of that. Absolutely convinced of that. But either way, I think so. So it'd go from 12 to 8. So then you have to win 1 to get to the. So you have to win. You have to win 1 more game if you're one of the top 4 seeds. You have to win 3 games instead of 2 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, if you're the 11th seed, you have to win 4 games instead of 2.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm probably overcompensating and like drunk on the Norvell Kool-Aid now. I just feel like, this conference, the way it is, win this conference, make it to the playoff. He'll mess around and win a few games in the playoff, and then you're in a national championship game. So,
well, look, the reality is that honestly, we said what we said, but basketball is the farthest away, I think.
But that's the easiest, though. But do you agree?
Well, it is, but it's. Yeah. I mean, I think by the time they're sniffing a Sweet 16, it will have been a coaching transition. So that can take time. I don't know that the current incarnation of this program is equipped to get them to the NCAA tournament, much less win a couple of games. I do think that football clearly is, and then baseball, we don't know much about them after the Butler series, although that was mighty impressive, but it was Butler. Clearly, Link has a guy that can get you to Omaha. So we'll see. I think I trust Link and Norvell right now more than this version of the basketball program, trying to be polite there.
Fair. Well said. Corey must have the Focus Plus coursing through his veins from our friends over at VitaminEnergy.com, eliminating that brain fog on a Monday, giving you clear, concise thoughts. Good hot takes, if you will, everybody. Go to VitaminEnergy.com, use the promo code WarchantBOGO on your first order, and you can get an item for absolutely free when you put one in your cart. Equal or lesser value, that is, everybody. But again, you can only use it one time, so maybe put like 2 items in your cart, maybe 5 items in your cart, and then you'll get 10. Incredible. That's enough vitamin energy to last you, 10, 12, 120. I mean, shoot, it's like a quarter of a year. Third of a year. Quarter of a year. Math's terrible. I did not take my Focus Plus.
Right.
Taking my Workout Plus, though, because it's Monday. I missed the gym on Thursday and Friday, traveling down to Clearwater. Don't feel good. Had some pizza, a lot of pizza, not feeling great. But I know with just a half shot of vitamin energy, I'm going to crush it in the gym. Won't get pinned on 155 today, buddy.
Nice.
Tell you that.
There you go,
Will not get pinned on 155. VitaminEnergy.com, clinically proven, clinically tested, the #1 pre-workout shot, the Vitamin Energy Workout Plus, 260 milligrams of all-natural caffeine. It also has beta-alanine, carnitine, and arginine. Help out that pump, everybody. VitaminEnergy.com. Noles hooking it up with a promo code. That is Corey.
Warchant BOGO.
That is right. Use it. Shake it and take it. VitaminEnergy.com. Brad Pitt once said, I think, Corey, how can you not get romantic or feel romantic about baseball?
Right.
I was back home this weekend covering the softball tournament. That was cut short due to weather.
And what a nightmare. Right. Holy moly, Aslan. What did you do to the softball program?
Hey, they won the first game against Stanford. I was there for that. What's everybody coming at me for?
I'm just saying. I've never seen anything like that.
In the
history of the FSU softball program, nothing like that has ever happened.
I got kind of defensive. Like, our guy Matt Lassere texted me. He's like, dude, like, you're really screwing over the softball team right now. And I'm like, come on, relax. Like, it's not my fault. Get off of me. I mean,
it's Ira and Gene's fault for sending you down there, honestly. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what that's about. I mean, you've seen a lot of wins there. You know, you've seen the baseball. You haven't done great for the baseball team, but you've done really well for the football team. You're not a jinx.
No, I was at the Supers. I was at the Supers last year when they beat Georgia. Right. So
but 34 runs in 11 innings. Those last 11 innings that they pitched is outlandish. And I know we're about to talk about baseball. Let's just get this out of the way.
Oh, let's go. Yeah, go.
That was embarrassing. I don't know how else you could say it. There aren't. When you're a top 5 program like Florida State is,
the Georgia game was. I don't think the UCLA game was. It wasn't great, but like the Georgia game was embarrassing. The UCLA game was not great though.
But you scored 10 runs in back-to-back games and lose both. One, you get run ruled in.
Yeah.
Like giving up 20 runs. Like maybe Georgia is the best hitting team of all time, but I wouldn't think like if they were playing UTEP or Coastal Carolina that they're going to be scoring 20 runs. And they did that to Florida State, who was pitching their pitchers. So, again, clearly my take on the opening weekend, I saw something there. And I'm not, I'm not
coracle, baby.
Insightful.
The coracle.
But the pitching is a real problem. The offense looks very good. The offense is going to be good. I love the freshman position players. But, man, McKenna Reed is not what she was last year so far. She was the number 2. If you guys don't remember, obviously Sandra Cock was the ace. But McKenna Reed had some really big moments and was very good. She was a freshman All-American. Well, her ERA now is over 6, which is like 11 for a softball. Like that's the equivalent of like having an 11 ERA in baseball. That's nuts. So,
And she looks very downtrodden, too. Like,
man, well, you would be too.
Yeah,
you come in and immediately give up bombs.
Yeah.
Just doesn't look like herself at all. And they're going to have to, Royalty had a really good start against Stanford. And that was, and then I guess Danley pitched okay in that one too. But other than that, there was nothing redeeming about the way they pitched those last 2 games. UCLA, again, that is not a juggernaut offensively.
No.
And you gave them 14 runs. And then you gave up Georgia. You gave up 20 runs. That's just, again, I don't know what you do. I don't know if there's the lingering health issues or what, confidence issues, but that was startling. Like bizarre almost. Like not just, oh man, that's bad pitching. Like bizarre. Like that's not right. No top 5 team maybe in the history of college softball has given up 34 runs in back-to-back games. You think about that. Is that a school record? For Florida State giving up runs, I would assume it was close.
It was a record for Georgia, the amount of runs scoring against a top 5 opponent. That was before they hit 20. So
anyway, I guess that's like I have not been following softball my whole life. I've become much more invested in here since Lonnie got to Florida State. I do pay attention to the program. I do pay attention to the sport. Not close enough to make historic declarations, but that said, in fast pitch softball, I can't imagine another top 5 team ever giving up 34 runs in 2 consecutive games. That's crazy. So they need to figure it out. Still got a good win against Stanford. It's not like they lost to horrible teams. Losses are losses, whether you lose 4-3 or 20-10. But, man, you hope the pitching comes around, or otherwise this could be a pretty ugly season by Florida State standards. They're still going to be fun to watch hitting and defensively. Like I'm telling you, those freshmen can really play.
Well, I think they got to get first base solidified a little bit too. They were having some problems picking the ball.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, last year McKenna Reed, 43 appearances, 4 starts. She was 13-0 with a .97 ERA.
.97.
Yeah. So
they were walking everyone. Like I don't know if there were tight zones down there. If the umpires weren't good, but they had incredible walk numbers. Just the whole thing was just bizarre. I don't know how else to explain it. It was bizarre.
I guess, the good news, obviously, Lonnie's a Hall of Famer. You trust that she's going to get it figured out. But
and it's February.
Right.
Yeah, that's good news.
And it just really only takes one of these ladies to really get on track to stabilize everything. So if either Allison Royalty finds some kind of gear in her in her 5th year now, or if McKenna Reed gets things solved, like that solves a lot of these problems they're having right now. So, but yeah, obviously pitching not a great thing, but offensively, man, they still rake. They're still really aggressive on the base path. So. Maybe instead of Kat Sandercock saving the day, maybe we'll see a lot more 8-5 games as opposed to 4-2.
Yeah,
but
I don't think that's sustainable to win a national championship, which is what Florida State's goals are every year now, is to at least play in the game. But they're good enough to win a lot of games, even if the pitching isn't up to standards, because that offense is going to be so good.
Nigeri Kennedy's still at Stanford, but they were pointing it out on one of the telecasts. Like Montana Fouts left Alabama. UCLA had 2 aces. They're gone. Oklahoma lost Jordy Ball. And Nebraska doesn't even have Jordy Ball any longer. And obviously Florida State lost Kat Sandercock. So a lot of these top powers are also kind of rebuilding as well. At least they don't have their frontline aces any longer. So,
and doesn't the game seem to be changing a bit where it is more high scoring? Like a lot of those games down there were high scoring.
I think they've admittedly juiced the ball a little bit.
Clearly it seems like it. Yeah.
So.
You got to miss bats then.
Yeah.
If the ball is going to sail over the fence every time they make solid contact, go ahead and miss some bats. And quit walking people to put extra runners on base.
As I was saying, though, Brad Pitt saying that how can you not feel romantic about the game of baseball. So I was back home covering the softball stuff and doing family time or whatever, and was trying to – I couldn't find the ACC Network Extra on my mom's television set, but I was checking out Twitter and – saw that Florida State was able to get the game in on Friday night. Obviously, some weather in Tallahassee only made it a 2-game set against Butler. But to see the first game of the season, the first game of Florida State playing organized baseball without Mike Martin being on this planet in however many years, to win it 11-0. Like I literally got chills. And then I think Ira retweeted maybe James Tibbs, also saying like they felt like 11's presence and this was for you. That was super awesome, man. What a way to start the season. They also carried it through onto Sunday with a 15-5 win over Butler. So outmatched team, obviously, but hey, still going out there and putting it to them like that, 11-0 and then 15-5. Very good start for Link Jarrett year 2.
Yeah, the 11 was just awesome. That's just who writes stuff like you can't write something like that. It'd be too corny for them to score 11. And it's not like it came naturally. It wasn't like, hey, let's get that 11th run across. Like they hit a couple of bombs in the last inning in the bottom of the 8th to make it 11-0. It's not like they stole home with a 10-0 lead or anything to try to do it. That's really cool. And now they should win. Let them go ahead and win the last 11 games of the season. That'd be a nice way to pay homage to Martin. I think that'd mean a national championship, right?
I'm here for it. Yeah. Unless they lose like 20 in a row,
Well, yeah, and then they close out May with 11 straight wins, but don't even get to the ACC tournament.
Yeah, you'd win the ACC though, and then you'd automatically get a bid into the Omaha.
So yeah, if you to win your own regional, you have to win 3. To win a super, you only have to win 2, and then I assume to win everything in Omaha, you have to win 5. So go ahead and win your last regular season game or whatever it takes, and then win the next 10. And you're national champs, baby. Yeah. But yeah, I think the headline from the opening weekend is Cam Leiter. That's your new Friday night guy, nephew of Al, the former Major League pitcher.
I think so. Yes.
And so that's his cousin that was drafted really high out of Vanderbilt a couple of years ago, right?
Yep.
Obviously, it runs in the genes. That was electric stuff. That to me was the headliner. Is that it looks like because I know it's Butler. But Butler is a Division I baseball team, and my man got 15 outs, and 13 of them were strikeouts. Like, he was electric and virtually unhittable, which is what a ace Friday night guy would look like against a team like Butler. So that was very good to see. Obviously, he's going to give up runs this year. He's going to not strike out everybody he faces as the competition gets better. But up to 97, 98 on the fastball. His slider's 91. He was throwing like 3 or 4 different pitches for strikes. That is Friday night stuff. That is what they were missing last year. I thought Arnold looked fine on Sunday as the number 2 guy. Didn't get to see Whitaker. But, yeah, overall, I thought the pitching was good, man. The pitching looked really good. The offense, too, looked like It could be look, man, they're just different looking. Like I was watching the game on Sunday on the ESPN Plus, and I can't remember who it is. It's the is it Farrow? I
Yeah.
don't know how you pronounce his
Yeah,
name.
Drew Farrell, yeah. 6'3", 202, man.
He's 6'3".
Yep.
Like, where did that come from? Like, they haven't had guys like that. He looks like, to me, when I saw him in the box, I'm like, okay, that's a 5'11" kid with some pop, 5'10" kid with some pop. And they showed his bio, and he's 6'3". And I'm like, man, the whole team is just, they're big. He keeps talking about getting physical. Well, they can run. I don't know how many bases they stole on Sunday, but they had 9 at one point in by the 4th inning. They can move. They're athletic, and they are huge. Like, I would say Tibbs and Ferrer are the 2 smallest guys on the team in the lineup.
I was saying I carried away. Ferrer's big, man. Ferrer's big.
Well, he's not tall though. He's like, I mean,
All
he's
right.
put together.
Yeah.
And Tibbs is put together, but they're not 6'4". There's, Cam Smith's 6'4". Ferrer is 6'3". The new first baseman is enormous. Cantu. They're just they look like those teams look. Those good teams that have been coming into Hauser now for years.
6'3", 220 Cantu, by the way.
Yeah, he's a monster, man.
That's a linebacker, man.
Yeah, so they just look physical, and they got dudes that can hit the ball over the scoreboard, can hit the circus tent. It's just good to see. It's good to see they look. It's not a bunch of 5'10" guys, and I say that as the son of a 5'10", a kid that might get to 5'10", and I would love for him to be able to play at Florida State. So I'm not all against 5'10" guys. I'm just saying Florida State has been loaded with them, and now they look like getting off the bus at least. And in a season opening series, they look like those teams, like the Wake Forests and the Floridas of the world. That just like you look at them and you're like, wow, they're 8-hitter. Their number 8 hitter is 220 pounds and 6'2". Like, he'd bat cleanup for Florida State. You've been saying that for years, and now it looks like they got some guys that can really mash. Defense, I think, will still be an issue, but infield defense. But, I think they've taken care of the offense to an extent. I think 1 through 9, they got guys that can – I mean, their number 9 hitter is Lodies.
Lodies.
And he hit 16 bombs last year as a freshman.
Yeah.
That's their number 9 hitter. So now they're starting to look like a real potent college offense again, which is good to see. And they didn't strike out a ton.
All right, that's good. Tibbs, 6'2", 204. Ferrer listed at 6'1", 219.
I wouldn't have thought he was 6'1".
I wouldn't have thought he was 6'1" either, but like.
But they're both great hitters, obviously.
Yes.
Tibbs had the grand slam on Friday that kind of break the game open, and he's going to be just he's just going to be great. He's just he's a great college hitter.
Yeah.
And Ferrer is too.
Yeah. And the Max Williams fellow, who's transfer from Alabama, thunderous left bat, I think is how Link described him. He's 6'2", 198. So let's call him.
What about the guy with
everybody.
is it? I hate to say this because I know it's wrong. Dingus, not Dingus. Thank God. That's just not that wouldn't be a great last name. What is he listed at?
How about like Florida State they got a pitcher, Matty Balk?
Yeah.
Way to overcome those odds, Matty. Shout out. That's incredible.
But Matty, the softball.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really balk a lot in softball.
You're right.
It's not really a thing.
Marco, 6', 194.
Okay, but the ball does pop off his bat now.
Yeah.
Same with and you said Lodice, but on the broadcast they kept saying Lodies.
Okay,
So
we'll take it.
I thought Link said Lodice.
Okay, well
That's why I was going with it, so we don't know. But he's not. I don't think he doesn't look like a huge kid either, and the ball really jumps off his bat too.
Yeah. I tried to find game notes, and I couldn't even find game notes. But I'll see maybe I can get to the roster here. Yeah, I got it. Let's see if we can enlarge this. Why can I not
producing on the air like this?
I
This
cannot
is next level.
It. Load. It's LOW hyphen DEES, like Rick.
So Lodies.
Lodies.
So Lodies. Yeah.
Lodies.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Look at that, everybody. Figured it out. Look at that.
Lodies.
Lodies. How's that Duke game, brother?
It's always cool to see a kid score 35. It'd be cooler if they were wearing a Garnet uniform, but it was cool to see that. What's weird about it, man, is look, I've kind of you guys can tell by the way I'm talking where I feel this whole thing is going towards. But I liked it was a fun game, and I thought honestly Florida State got really unlucky. Like they had They had 9 blocks, and I would guess, Aslan, out of their 9 blocks, 8 of them went right back to Duke. Like, and they would block it off the backboard, and it would land in the paint, and it would go right to a Duke kid. And Leonard was lamenting that after the game, but he also said, to his credit, like, well, you've got to be more aware. You've got to make your own luck, too. Sometimes you're going to have games like that where it seemed like every 50-50 ball went to Duke, and they did. And it wasn't like they just out-hustled Florida State to the ball. They were literally, like, Florida State had 9 steals, which is a lot. They really almost had, like, 15. And every time they would deflect a pass off a Duke kid's leg, it's not like the Duke kid would dive to the ball before Florida State's kid would. It would roll right to the Duke kid. And the biggest sequence in the game was Florida State was down 6 with the ball, and then Darren Green got called for a technical for, I guess, I don't know, he shoved the ball into the kid's chest and stared him down. It was the kid that had scored 30 already. So the kid makes 2 technical free throws to push it to 8. Duke gets the ball. They go inside. Florida State swats it or steals it or deflects it off the backboard, like just swarms all over the guy with the ball. Of course, it bounces right out to that kid by the three-point line who drills the 3 to basically end the game. So a 5-point play where it was just like, that's bad luck. It's not bad luck that Darren Green got a technical. The way Leonard talked, it sounded like it was earned. But that then you play really good defense, and I thought they played really good defense for the most part. Like Duke, other than the one kid scoring 35, the rest of the team scored like 35. And of those 35, like, let's say the rest of the team made 11 field goals. Like 7 of them were highly contested, like end of the shot clock, throwing it up, going in. Like, I thought Florida State played really hard and really well defensively. The problem was they let that kid get going early, and they have a habit of doing that. They did it with the Virginia kid the Saturday before. Of course, he scored his career high. I think his name's McNeely. His career high was like 20. He had 29, hit 6 or 7 threes. This kid's career high coming into the game was 24. He had that by halftime because he hit 7 threes in the first half. Now, the first couple were wide open. After that, they start like, oh, maybe we should be a little more aware of where he is on the court. Let's not let him be so wide open. But you know how it is with these shooters, man. Once the elite shooters see 3 or 4 go down, it don't matter if you're near them. They're going to shoot it, and it's probably going to go in. They just get hot. And the only problem I had with Florida State's defense in that game was they let the kid get hot, and it became too late for them to really run out on him. So the second half, he only hit 1 3, and he had 10 points because they weren't letting him even sniff the ball by the three-point line. Now, he was driving by him and getting layup attempts, but you would have rather lived with that than letting the kid just take I think he took 8 three-pointers in the first half and made 7 of them, which is incredible. And, by the way, Florida State made 4 for the whole game. Kid made 8 by himself. That's how they're the one of the worst shooting teams in the ACC. They are still one of the worst rebounding teams in the ACC. They're one of the worst defensive field goal percentage teams in the ACC, and that's how you lose 5 out of 6 games. It's a good summation, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Crush it, my friend. Happy President's Day, everybody. It's also the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, 4 p.m. MyBookie.ag's got your bets, everybody. Use the promo code WARCHANT when you go over to MyBookie.ag for an instant cash deposit bonus. Denny Hamlin, the favorite here, Corey, at plus 900, which is crazy. I don't know how.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Joey Logano, second at plus 925, followed by Brad Keselowski and Ryan Blaney. Kyle Busch, plus 1250. You're a Ty Gibbs guy, right? Ty Gibbs is at plus 2,000. Mississippi's own Ricky Stenhouse Jr. plus 3,000. Austin Dillon, I think he won it like a long time ago, but hasn't really taken off. He's plus 4,000. Make your plays, everybody. Basketball's back, too, after the All-Star break. We'll talk about that for a quick second when we're done doing this read. But head to MyBookie.ag where you can bet anything, anytime, anywhere, including who's going to win the national title next season if you want to get involved now. Promo requires $50 minimum deposit and rollover requirement of one-time your deposit total, including your bonus for withdrawal. For full terms and conditions, visit mybookie.ag/about-us. Corey, how did you celebrate Steph Curry's victory in the shootout against Sabrina Ionescu? We had shots of Don Julio, and we popped a bottle of Dom Perignon. It was amazing.
Oh, I didn't. I didn't know. I didn't really watch it.
I didn't either. I was scared, Corey.
I didn't care about that.
I was on my phone because my buddy doesn't have cable, So we're at my buddy's house, like doing game night, like playing board games. And I'm like, oh, that thing is happening right now. And I pulled it up on my phone. And I think Ionescu was going to the last rack. And she had like 21. I'm like, oh my gosh. And she just kept bombing him. And she had, I think, 26. And I'm like, it's all right, man. Steph's got this. He might have missed his first shot, but then he started getting to a rhythm. I think they had they had a money ball on each rack, but between certain racks, they had like a Monster Energy, which don't drink that, everybody. Drink Vitamin Energy.
The deep threes, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and he didn't make any of those. So I'm assuming she must have made one of those. But there became a point where I became frightened. I'm like, he's going to lose. But then Steph just does Steph Curry things, and he went berserk on the last rack, and he actually won 29-26, I think. And it just took a huge it was like you thought I was in Pasadena January 6, 2014.
It's weird. You're weird. You're being weird about it. But I did watch the 3-point shootout. I just forgot that was happening, so I left Ira's. I was hanging out with Ira for a baby shower on Saturday.
So that's why the guys had me leave town, so that you guys could hang out. I see how it is.
Yeah,
Cool.
basically, yeah. I was
Thank
like,
you.
finally he's gone.
Cool.
He won't know where we are. You're not, our Life 360s. So I watched the 3-point shootout until the finals, and then we left because I didn't really care. I didn't watch any of the Curry thing, but apparently it was really cool. Like everybody said, that was like the highlight of the night, which it should be. I mean, I think that's awesome, and I also think it's cool of Steph to do it. Like he is so unlike Aslan. He is so secure in who he is and his gender, I guess, that he could stomach losing to a woman. He can risk losing to a woman because at the end of the day, he's Steph effing Curry. I think he's proven through the course of the last 20 years of our lives or 18 years of our lives, whenever he started at Davidson, he's the best shooter that's ever lived. And if somebody makes one or two more 3-pointers than him on racks in front, on a Saturday night that's not even a game, he'll live with it. But I think it was cool that he did it. I don't know the real concern with me is the dunk contest. It's just pointless.
Didn't watch any of it. Did Mac McClung really repeat? Did he win it?
He did, but here's my issue with it. Number one, he's not even in the league. He's wearing a Osceola Magic jersey because I guess that's the G League team he plays for. But also his last dunk, which admittedly is a really cool dunk, he uses Shaq as a prop. And I'm like, man, where are we in life where one of, I don't know, the 12 best players who's ever walked this earth, like Shaquille O'Neal was a dominant force.
Yes.
Literally one of the best players that's ever played. Unbelievable with 4 or 5 rings or whatever it is. But he was just, turn of the century, 90s, early 2000s. That guy was the best player on the planet. He was awesome. One of the top 10, 12 players that's ever lived. He's being used as a prop by some 6-foot nobody that can't even play in the NBA for some stupid dunk contest because none of the good people will do it.
He's paying homage. He's paying homage to one of the greats. Why are you so salty?
By dunking over him? Like Shaq should have turned around and 90s fouled him. Like, oh, you're going to come in and dunk on me, little man? I'm going to send you into the stanchion. That would have been cool. I could have gotten behind that. But, yeah, it's cool that Steph is willing to
it was for charity, by the way, but it still is. Yeah, there was a lot to lose there.
Well, I mean, I don't think so, but you do. But whatever. He's willing to risk losing because he knows who he is, and he's very, very secure in who he is. It'd be cool if the great players in this sport would dunk. Man, when I grew up, like they showed the back-to-back winners of the NBA Slam Dunk Contest because Matt McClung has now won. I think Aaron Gordon maybe was one, or didn't he win it back-to-back years?
I'll fact check
but
it.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. The very first one was a guy named Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was in the dunk contest for like 5 years. Dominique was in it for 7 years. And they were the best players on the planet, and they were willing to do it. And now, for whatever reason, you have to get Mac McClung and Obi Toppin's brother. Not even the real Toppin. So that's frustrating. But that's why I commend Steph. Steph will go do it. He knows he's the best shooter on the planet. He doesn't have anything to prove. He's not scared of having a bad night because, man, he's a 4-time champ, 2-time MVP, Insta Hall of Famer, best that's ever done it, career record holder. By the way, I didn't know it till Sunday, but apparently Kenny Smith got into a little controversy for criticizing that whole Steph versus Sabrina thing.
I heard it, and I told my buddies, I'm like, man, Kenny's gonna get fired, I think.
Because what he was saying that she should have been shooting from the women's line, right?
Well, he was saying that she should have been shooting from the men's line. Because she shot from the women's line, and she used WNBA basketball. So he was saying that she should have shot at the line. He's like, there's a men's tee and there's a women's tee for a reason.
Yeah,
I'm quoting Kenny Smith. Everybody, that was an as on his
But I
original
think you
thoughts.
got it. I think you got it backwards. I think she shot from where Steph was shooting from, and he was criticizing her, saying, "Oh, that cost her the win. If she would have shot where she's used to shooting from, like a foot closer, she would have won."
Okay, you're correct. She shot from the 3-point line. You're right. From the NBA, the men's.
She
the
shot
men's
from the
line.
men's,
Yeah.
and Kenny was. But he's like, I think he was criticizing so much her strategy in doing that, and not appreciating what an unbelievable shooter she is too. Yeah.
Oh, she shot the lights out of it. I mean, she probably would have. She probably beat everybody else in the NBA that night, except.
So the first round of the 3-point shootout.
Thanks, Steph.
They had a 4-way tie for 26. Like Trae Young, Karl Anthony Towns, Lillard, and Halliburton all finished with 26 points. Like, and that's what she got.
Yeah.
That was the first place score. So yeah, she shot with all those guys. Yeah. And Caitlin's coming.
Yeah. Which, by the way, did we celebrate Kelsey Plum breaking the record? Like, I don't remember like Kelsey Plum ever really getting like a whole bunch of like.
You know what it is? I was thinking of if Caitlin Clark, if Iowa had played Florida State Sunday night at the Tucker Center,
yeah,
what would that crowd have been like?
I think it would have been a really good turnout. I think it would have been really.
No, I think it's
out.
a sellout.
Yeah.
I think it's an absolute sellout. Yeah. If Casey Plum had come with Washington, whenever she was at Washington and played at Florida State, maybe an extra 1,000.
Yeah, well, has a sport just come that far? Is that what it is?
I think it's that, and I also think she is such a historic type player and figure.
Did she do it quicker? Did she do it like significantly quicker than Kelsey Plum or something?
I think she did it like 8 games sooner or 10 games sooner. Yeah. But she also leads the country in assists, and she has flair. Like she shoots from 35 feet. She's an incredible passer. She's just unlike – there haven't been many people like this that play like this on either side, men or women. I just think she's the biggest college basketball star of all time, women's wise. And look, guys, I covered Maya Moore in high school. I know all about Taurasi. They weren't doing this to opposing gyms. When Maya Moore went and played Georgetown when she was at UConn, they didn't sell out the gym.
Yeah.
Nebraska had 15,000 people there watching Caitlin Clark. Iowa's season tickets sold out in minutes when she came. So I just think it's that. I think it's that it's this age, number one. She was a YouTube star. She is a YouTube star. And the way she plays is so dynamic and so just, I don't know how to say it, otherworldly. Like to lead the nation in scoring and assists. And look at her teammates, man. That doesn't look like the most overly talented team in the country. They're number 3 in the United States. And they just made the national championship game. That helped too. Like what she did last year in the tournament. I think it's that more than anything. Just like who she is and how she plays, as opposed to the record itself.
Yeah. Back-to-back winners of the slam dunk contest include Jason Richardson.
Okay, he was a real player now. He was a borderline all-star.
Nate Robinson.
Not an all-star, but a good player, solid role player.
And Zach LaVine, the aforementioned Zach LaVine.
So it was LaVine, yeah. By the way, so that was the last great dunk contest. LaVine versus Aaron Gordon was the best dunk contest of all time. But since then, it has been nothing. They miss more dunks than they make. Like, because they always have to throw it to themselves or try to jump over a clown or a car or a concession worker or something, and they brick half the dunks they even try. Hey, but before we go, shout out to the women's basketball team who did pick up a very important win on the road on Sunday down in Miami. Started slow, kept giving up a bunch of offensive rebounds, but really turned it on the final 3 quarters. And won, I think, by 6.
75-68 final score.
Okay, and Tanai Latson with 29. So didn't get to the 30, but is still really good. And who's really good that I never talk about is Timpson. Because she doesn't. I'll be honest with you, she doesn't get a ton of help rebounding.
Never mind. I have not refreshed my browser in so long that it pulled up the Miami game from like 3 weeks ago or whatever.
It was close to that score, though. I feel like, was the score 3 weeks ago 75-68?
Yeah, it was 74-68. Yeah, the other one was 75-68. Look at that. Yeah, because I didn't see Latson. Latson didn't score 29 in the last game, so I was like, uh-oh. But yeah, 13 for 22 for 29 points.
What was Timpson? What were Timpson's numbers?
4 of 11. She had 16. She was 8 of 9 from the line and 11 boards.
And how many blocks does it say?
3.
Man, she's not unsung. She passed the 1,000-point barrier. She's an all ACC caliber player, so she's not exactly unsung. But when you're on Tanai Latson's team, you're never going to get probably the praise you should, because when you watch them play, she is so important to what they do defensively. She alters so many shots. She's actually a defensive presence. They're not great defensively, but she is, and she's a really important piece of that team. And I think they showed a graphic on the screen during the game that they were projected as a 7 seed before the game. So I think that might bump them up a line to win on the road against a pretty decent Miami team. So that probably moves them to maybe a 6 seed. But yeah, they seem right now to be comfortably in as long as they win a couple more games down the stretch.
Who would win in a 3-point contest, Tanaya Latson or Darren Green?
Darren Green.
But
ask me who the better basketball player is.
Or would Jetty, would she be a better?
But Jetty would be a better one to pick, and she shoots deep too. But yeah,
they should do that for Midnight Madness next year. Like every school should probably do that. Have their sharpshooter on the women's team go against the sharpshooter on the men's side.
I would love to see who that is for Florida State next year. Who would they even nominate? I mean, literally, man, they just do not shoot the ball. They just don't shoot the ball well. But I was going to say, after the game, we were talking to Leonard, and he was lamenting that the kid got going for Duke, and he's like, if you're not on your P's and Q's and paying attention for 40 minutes and focus, every team in the ACC has a guy that can have a night like tonight. Every single team. And I wanted to raise my hand and every team but one. You don't. Well, I mean, there's who on Florida State's team could go for 35 by making 8 threes.
Darren
Green's not. I mean, maybe, man. He'll make 2 a game.
Yeah.
He makes 1 or 2 a game, but yeah, he's not making 8, and not in an ACC game, I wouldn't think. But yeah, that said, I really did like. I mean, I thought that's the thing, man. Last year they were an embarrassment, not just their record. There were so many games where they were down 50-20. On the road, they were down 48-19 or 31-6 or whatever it was. This year, they've lost to Carolina, they've lost to Virginia, they lost to Clemson, they lost to Duke. They were all within a possession or two in all those games. They really are. They're a much better team that is still maybe going to end with a losing record, but they have made some strides. It's just, have the strides been big enough to keep this going? I don't know. And also, the fact that they're kind of limping down the stretch really does take away from Jameer Watkins is a really nice player. He's really good. He does that. He's their leading rebounder. I think he's their leading assist guy. He's their leading scorer. He's a leading stealer. He's just a very, very good basketball player. So hopefully he comes back next year and gets in, and then we're done. I promise we're done after this. But there were 2 times in that game Saturday, where he makes a great drive to the basket, draws 2 bigs to him, whips a pass to the corner to a wide-open kid, and one time it was Jalen Worley, who has not made a 3 all season, and another time it was somebody else that doesn't shoot threes. And it's like, man, if you could just give that kid some shooters to pass to, they would get wide-open looks because of the attention he draws. He just doesn't have shooters to throw the ball out to, and it's a bit of a bummer in 2024 that you always get outscored by 20 points at least at the 3-point line, it seems like.
Well, maybe he sticks around. You just find another reasonable facsimile, as Jeff Cameron would say, and then you're cooking with gas.
Get that Duke kid to transfer. He loves playing in the Tuck. Golly, why wouldn't he want to go play in the Tucker Center? He scored 35 a night.
That was a really long show, much longer than I anticipated.
Oh my, that's all me. That's all me.
It's good. Yeah.
I feel like we got so much to wrap up now.
We do.
Aslan, we talk about football. Got to give the people what they want. Then there's softball, that debacle, baseball opening weekend, and the basketball teams are still playing. So there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, and the societal battle that Steph Curry carried into his shoulders. Thank you, Steph. Love you, man.
Thank God.
Love you so much.
Us men finally have something to feel good about.
All right, we're done just for today. Maybe an interview, maybe a mailbag, maybe both. Stay tuned to warchant.com. I'll try to do a better job. We're going to Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, the lane that we're currently in right now, everybody. We'll try to keep it on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday track. We'll try to figure out ways to spice up those aforementioned Wednesday and Fridays as well, but maybe it'll be a Tuesday, Thursday, or something like that. But we'll keep you entertained as best as we possibly can. Warchant.com will keep you informed, best in class, best in the industry. Subscribe, thumbs up, 5-star rating and review. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock. Him and Tom breaking it down as well. He's Corey Maslon. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.